What is going on, Lakers fam? This is your boy Jay Lake, bringing you Lakers all day, all the time, even in the off season. If you haven't yet, please go ahead and click on that like and subscribe button down under, and any comments would be much appreciated. We have Nas on again today.
What up, Laker fans? Good to be back.
Welcome back, welcome back. So, if you've seen one of our previous pods, we had a DLO over AR, and we went over kind of the cap predictions and contract predictions. We
Yeah.
did pretty well on DLO, AR, and Rui. For D'Lo, originally we are saying that 30 something million is not going to cut it as a Laker because that's not going to help us down the future. Not going to be a good trade chip. We said even if he were to be 20 something million, that would still be a negative asset for us, and it would be hard to trade him. And we would probably have to attach an asset in order to trade him, kind of like what we did with Moscow. But
Yeah.
we predicted that in that 15 to 17, 18 million range, it would be great for us. Even if, say, we don't trade him and we keep him throughout the season, that would be a good number. He signed for 36 million for 2 years, and he waived that player option or that trade option for the second year, the no trade clause. Um, we were pretty negative on D'Lo, especially the way he performed against the Nuggets in the finals. But Nas over here, he is a D'Lo supporter. So, what do you have to say about us keeping D'Lo or signing him on that contract? Do
Yeah.
you think he'll be able
Uh,
to show out for us?
yeah. I really did like D'Angelo Russell. I thought there was a huge improvement in our offense after the Russell Westbrook trade. So I really thought he was a great asset, and I thought he was a big part of why we even moved up into the standings and moved into the playoffs in the first place. I do understand that he struggled during the Western Conference Finals, and that he was kind of a liability offensively, creating trying to create his own offense, but taking bad shots, uh, not really contributing on defense. Jamal Murray really took him to town. Not a great perimeter defensive player. So I have a theory that why couldn't we use D'Angelo like we used Russell Westbrook and have him be the sixth man off the bench? Have him be the main source of offense off the bench and have him uh, be ball dominant, not with LeBron and AD always on the floor to begin the game, but to come off the bench and be that main source with maybe a Rui Hachimura, and then maybe he wouldn't be as much of a offensive liability. We don't need that many ball dominant players because now we have AR also becoming very ball dominant. LeBron, of course, and then AD needs his touches and his shots in the post, and even when he picks and pops outside in the perimeter. So maybe have D'Angelo come off the bench in that six man Lou Williams type of role where he could be a spark off the bench offensively.
Yeah, I think I mostly agree with you. It's just, D'Lo went on that Pat Bev podcast, and Pat Bev was saying how good of a player he is and how he's underplayed. Um, with his immaturity issues that he has, and him going from 30 something million to 18 million and waiving that second year trade option kind of thing, it's going to be hard to kind of convince him to come off the bench. I mean, his ego is going to take a hit, and now the season starts and be like, hey, you're coming off the bench for Gabe after Gabe Vincent's going to start. That's going to be a hard pill to swallow for him.
Every championship team has players that need to swallow their ego, need to take sacrifices. Uh, we need D'Angelo to probably take a sacrifice as far as getting touches, getting shots per game. Now we have Gabe Vincent, who can take that role player role if just like he did with Miami during their NBA playoff run, and really just take shots when needed and step up when needed. I made the comparison in the prior podcast to Derek Fisher, a person who kind of stepped up in those moments. We know that he doesn't have all the intangibles that maybe Derek Fisher had, but he's a person that increased his shot percentage, increased his 3-point percentage in the playoffs. But he isn't very ball dominant. It doesn't take a lot of errant shots. It works in with the offense and works with the stars on the team like he did in Miami with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. So he could be a better fit probably with the team as a starter. Maybe not in moments where you need that offense or matchups where you need another player like a D'Angelo that can create his own offense. But I feel like if it's a championship team, if it's a team that's serious about winning, egos need to be swallowed and sacrifices do need to be made.
Derek Fisher, another Lakers legend. I guess that one's a little bit better than the James Worthy and Jamario Moon kind of comparison that you made before. I mean, I see it. Derek Fisher, he is that leader, though. He's that leader presence. He was that second leader right next to Kobe Bryant. So he was that locker room voice. Derek Fisher, he's a little bit stockier. He could push around other guards like no problem. Gabe Vincent, I don't see it as much, but a three-point shot, when it kind of came to the playoffs, that mattered. He's not so consistent during the regular season. Maybe if he bulks up a little bit, that would help him. But for D'Lo, I mean, yes, I agree. I think coming off the bench when that other team has that superstar guard like say Stephen Curry or Jamal Murray or even like say Devin Booker, I think Gabe Vincent would be a lot better option to guard them, especially when you have Austin Reeves kind of mostly on their guards running around. But if they do that switch and Gabe Vincent's the one switching on to them instead of D'Lo, that would probably help a lot. So overall, I think I agree with you.
Yeah, D'Angelo as the Lakers' new sixth man. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. So in the past, we were talking about those contracts, right? So for AR and Rui, Rui got that 18 million, and AR had that 12 million. We kind of predicted their contracts as well, and we did pretty well. If you haven't watched, go back and watch that the D'Lo over AR video that we posted in the past. But in the past, because most of the times when AR and Rui were playing, the opposing team, their defensive coordinator and their lead assistant, they usually kind of focus on LeBron James and AD because that saying in the NBA where besides their superstars, let anybody else beat us, right? We're going to contain their superstars and restrict what they could make. So if your defensive coordinator and your lead coordinator is on LBJ and AD, they're doing all the film, they're doing all the studying. They're doing all the spots they'd like to get to. If they like to go to the right hand or the left hand in certain positions, they'll communicate that to their players. That's the research they do, and usually, that assistant of the assistant or whoever's bottom of the barrel kind of gets the rest of the assignments of the other players. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case this year because they've seen what AR and Rui can do. They got their contracts already, and do you think they'll still be able to show out like they did last year? And do you think they'll step it up this coming season?
Yeah, I think there's a couple factors that come into play. Rui Hachimura, his minutes were inconsistent. His effectiveness was inconsistent towards the end of the season in the regular season. But when he got to the playoffs, he immediately became a huge factor. I think he even led the Lakers in scoring one or two games in the first round series versus Memphis Grizzlies. So he totally caught teams off guard. I do not think teams will not plan for him now, especially since he signed a big contract. He is part of Lakers' immediate future. I think that they know that he can hit 3-point shots. I know he can drive to the basket. They know that he has baseline moves. That's why I compared him to James Worthy, or at least elements of his game. He is not going to be under the radar. We didn't see him consistently in Washington with injuries, just kind of an inconsistent organization over there, not knowing where they wanted to go. And then the first time that we really saw Hachimura fulfill his potential was in the playoffs. Now that teams know what he's capable of, especially offensively, I think they plan for him. As for Austin Reeves, I feel like they already knew. He had a very, very consistent regular season. Obviously, it seemed like he benefited from the trade and maybe just the the subtraction of Russell Westbrook. He became a lot more ball dominant, sometimes even playing the point guard, obviously creating a lot of offense for himself off the dribble. I think teams already know that. But, like players in the past, the question is, do we see a contract hangover from both players where they got the money that they wanted or they got a lot more money than the contract that they had previous? Do we see kind of a drop off, especially to begin the season, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, for Rui, it's like after moving to LA, we have Little Tokyo out here. We have Torrance, we have Cerritos, like huge Japanese community. It's like
The
he's
beach.
walking around there thinking like, oh, I'm back in Japan. I'm getting the good
Yeah.
food. I'm getting my culture, and it's like he's loving it in LA. LA sun, LA beaches. I mean, you can't beat it, right? So I think he's gonna step it up. I mean, in this season, he's gonna do better than what he did in the previous season because basically every offseason, separate the role players from the superstars or the all-stars is, you add something to your bag. And I think he's going to work on his craft, especially with Phil Handy working with Rui. I think he's going to get better and better with time. He's still a relatively young player. He's added quite a bit to his arsenal since Washington to the Lakers. AR, he's getting that FIBA experience right now, that international experience. A lot of people were saying that, he's not going to show out or that the Lakers favor him, and that's the reason why he made FIBA. But, him getting that international spotlight and that play time, and he's gonna be a better player for it. That's what I think for AR and Rui. So in the past, we said that every episode we're going to throw in a team to kind of break down. And so this time we're going to cover the Suns. If you watched our previous podcast, we had a breakdown of the Suns and the Bradley Beal trade. And we said that Suns basically traded everything for Bradley Beal, all of their players, all of their depth. But they did pretty well, actually, in this offseason. They kind of reloaded. They got Watanabe. He's a great, three-point shooter. They got Bol for that backup big, Eric Gordon, backup guard, Chimezie Metu. So, they did a pretty good job on reloading. It's kind of sad that they lost Cameron Payne to the Spurs for, I don't know, a bag of chips. Lakers could have easily matched that bag of chips, gave him 2 bags of chips and playing hot Cheetos for that for him.
Really though. Yeah. Cameron Payne was a big part of the bench and their depth. He really revamped his career when they signed him, I think, in the late 2021 season. And then they, of course, made that playoff run where they went to the championship versus the Milwaukee Bucks and were 2 wins away from an NBA championship. Cameron Payne played a huge part in that team. And then, of course, the next year, where I think they had the best regular season record in the league. He's been a big part of this team for 3+ years, and now you trade him just for a second-round draft pick when you are already being questioned about the team's chemistry, the team's depth, and even, having veterans on that team that can really be those glue guys. And now you trade another, key player, that could have definitely have been an influence off the bench, giving you points and giving you energy and just giving you that experience. Now he's gone. Again, you question, if this team is going to have chemistry. They're very top heavy, right? They have one of the greatest players in all time in Kevin Durant, and then one of the most versatile guards in the league in Devin Booker. And of course, you could also say that, maybe not to that extent, but you could say that over, his career, Bradley Beal has been that guy as well in the shooting guard position. But then you have a player like Andre Ayton, which is a huge question mark. He just got eaten up and devoured by Jokic in the Western Conference semifinals last year. So he is very unreliable. A lot of people say that he has character issues. He definitely is not consistent with his energy and intensity. So you could argue that they only have about 3.5 players coming back from last year's team that, really will make a difference in the season. So you kind of question or wonder where they're going from here, or who were going to be those vets or those new guys on the current roster that the Phoenix Suns have.
Yeah, honestly, I think the Suns will probably take a step back this season. Long season without that depth, it's gonna be hard to kind of make that playoffs. If they do, they can make some noise in the playoffs, but during the regular season, I don't think they're gonna do as well as they did last year. All right, Lakers fam. So you heard it here first. What do you guys think about the Suns? Do you think they will be able to make some noise? Do you think they'll make the playoffs or even the finals? But leave your comments down below, and we will see you next time.
All right. I like the fans.